My name is Deveri Mathews. We just visited our dairy and we got some milk here. It's in the pot here heating up, and we're gonna do a real simple way to use some milk. You can go to the store and use store-bought milk. You can use those little milks you get with school lunch if you have a whole bunch of those. This is a real simple way to use those up really quick. And we're gonna make what's called farmer's cheese. You only need 2 ingredients, your milk and vinegar or lemon juice. You can use white vinegar or apple cider vinegar. The apple cider vinegar will color your end product a little bit just because of the apple cider, and then whatever seasoning you want to add to it. So I do salt and some other stuff. You can add anything you can think of to the cheese at the end. So just, you want a pot, something a little heavier bottom because you don't want the milk to scorch, and you'll set it to a low boil, so about medium low, and it takes a little while for it to boil, probably about 20 minutes or so. Stir it every once in a while just to make sure you're not burning at the bottom, because burnt milk doesn't taste very good, and will flavor your cheese a little differently. But you just pour your milk in there, let it go, and then you'll need a measuring cup to be able to measure your vinegar or your lemon juice, and then you'll need a spoon to be able to stir it, and then we have a wire colander, or you can take cheesecloth and spread it over any type of strainer you have to just drain the different products, because what will happen is when we put the vinegar into it, it will separate the milk into 2 products. So we'll have our cheese, and then we'll have what's called whey, which is the leftover from what we're making. And you can actually use the whey, so if you put another bowl underneath it to save that. Whey can be used to ferment vegetables because we're using a vinegar solution, so it does have an acid, so you can ferment vegetables in it in the fridge. You can use it for your hair, in the bath for your skin. You make a lemon whey pie. There's tons of people, if you look up online, that have 20 or more ways you can use the whey from making cheese. So it's a real simple thing to do. Great way to get your kids in the kitchen. For them, it's easy for them to pour it in, and then after you strain it, they can mix in whatever flavoring they want and try it. Just be careful because it is boiling milk, just like boiling water. It can burn if it is very hot. Once we get a boil going, the milk is going to start to rise. So you want to turn your heat, you can go ahead and turn your heat off. You want to start, when you choose your pot, make sure you have enough room in your pot for the milk to foam up. Milk foams a whole lot more than water. So it's 1 cup of vinegar to 1 gallon of milk is your ratio. So I'm gonna pour it in, and as soon as I pour it in, I'm gonna stir to get it all mixed up, and the whey will immediately start to separate. And you'll see as the foam kind of goes down, it'll turn yellow, and that's the whey and the curds. You know that nursery rhyme, curds and whey, they're separating. You kind of see as I pull it up that there's some chunks in here going on. And so now you just let it cool a little bit. So you're gonna strain it, and you don't want too much steam as you're pouring. There's some big nice chunks of curds going on there, and my foam's kind of still a little thick. There we go, you can kind of see it's yellow. So the whey will be yellow. It'll be a little different colored if you used apple cider vinegar, because apple cider vinegar does have a little bit of a brown hue to it. And so now you just let it cool a little bit, and then we'll get ready to strain it. Too much, because then I want to taste it. I'm going to stir it in a little bit.
And you said that was salt?
Yes, this is salt. This is a real sea salt, so it's a little chunkier than just your table salt. That's just what we prefer to use, but you can use any salt. So I have a metal wire strainer here. You can use any kind of strainer you have, just make sure it's something that can handle heat. So this is still pretty warm, so a plastic one, if you haven't tested it with some high heat, may not be too good, because that it is going to sit on there. And I'm just lining it with some cheesecloth. You can find cheesecloth at most stores. At our Walmart, it was actually in the craft section, not in the cooking section, even though it's more commonly used for cooking. And so I'm just going to line this with it. I kind of overlapped in the middle, and then once I pour it in here and strain it, and then So now we're gonna take our cheese from our cheesecloth. It's kind of a little chunk. And we're gonna dump it into our bowl. So that's a gallon of cheese, or gallon of milk. We ended up with that chunk of cheese. So now we'll take and add, you can add whatever seasoning you want to it. I have some dip mix that I use. We'll add to it, and it's just to taste. And our salt is already in here, so I'm not adding more salt.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can see it's kind of a wool form. I strained it pretty good. I could have strained it a lot more and gotten a little bit harder, more like a log. But we like it a little moist so we can get it on the crackers. And so you kind of just mix seasonings in. You can do fresh herbs, you can do dried herbs, you can add in sun-dried tomatoes and fresh basil or garlic. You can pretty much make it taste like anything you want. We have some crackers here, and so this is a little bit chunkier, so we just kind of spoon some on there. You can see some steam still. Cheese is still warm. It's good warm. You put it in the fridge and it's good cold, but it's kind of chunky on there. With all the seasonings, I used a dill mix, so there's big little chunks of dill in there, but it's this easy farmer's cheese.